How is the Australian culture and Indian core values different, like according to your perspective?
It's very apparent when I come from any Western country into India. There's this idea of getting things done that I don't see in other countries. And in India, they get things done. Jugaad Gatte. It was a family friend's factory. They were making induction hardening equipment in Chembur. So I did my internship there. That was probably the quickest I learned Hindi in my life.
I feel like that, Indian textile has a very rich legacy, which is like woven from generations to generation. Every single brand that is Indian has a lot of value, a lot of culture attached to their brand.
You can tell a lot about how a person feels by what they wear. So if they're very proud of who they are, they will wear things that reflect that.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another thrilling episode of Smaash. Today, we have a very interesting guest with us. We have Karan with us. Although living in Australia, born and brought up there, he still has a charm for Indian culture, Indian people, and on top of it, Indian textiles. Today, we will be talking about his love and fascination for Indian culture and everything about India. So, let's get started. The main motive of this podcast is to provide resources, advice, and a brilliant conversation for people who are trying to build any sort of business, be it in India or in any other country. Watch this podcast till the end and get mesmerized with the beautiful journey of Karan and his fascination for Indian culture. So, let's get started. Welcome to the Smaash Podcast. We are so glad that we have you with us today in India on this set. So, how are you feeling?
Fantastic. Thank you so much for having me. I'm grateful to be here.
To begin with, I would like to say that you're doing a fantastic job by making a bridge for the Indian culture and you're trying to create something very unique with all of your values from Australia. So thank you so much for that. And I think we should start with the conversation. So to begin with, let's talk about the culture. So how was it like to be brought up in Australia and how is the Australian culture and Indian core values different, like according to your perspective?
So I think that it's very apparent when I come from any Western country into India. So whether that be when I come from the UK into India, US into India, Australia into India, and you name it, there's this idea of getting things done that I don't see in other countries. And in India, they get things done. Jugaad Gatte. So people are very thinking in that way. It's a very action-oriented society, and I love that.
Okay. So I think you have visited India a couple of times. So what is that one thing that always caught your attention? Because like being a person who was brought up in Australia when you first came to Indian cities. So what was that one thing you thought that that's really unique?
It's the private enterprises that I see here. There's a lot of unique businesses that run in this country. It could be a very small business, could be a big one. I was actually driving past a government building yesterday and it said something along the lines of Ministry of Small, Micro, Medium-sized Businesses. So I've never seen a government put a sign up for small and micro-sized businesses. I've only seen them put up something for small and medium-sized. So obviously, there's a distinction within this market of a micro-sized enterprise is something that is respected within this country. And that's something that I think fantastic.
Okay. And what about the people? Like, were Indian people polite to you?
Oh, they're the best.
Okay. So any experience with an interaction with a localite?
All the time. Like, whenever I come here, every day I'm interacting with the locals. I've been interacting with local people since over 10 years here. So I've been coming regularly since 2014. And every trip I've been talking to locals. It could be, initially it was only in Bombay. Then over time it grew to more regional areas. Some places, they might not speak the language. Like if you go some places, when I went to Nasik in Maharashtra, I remember I wasn't talking, but I tried to talk to the villagers and I was buying things at the store. They didn't speak any Hindi, I didn't speak any Marathi, but I could still get things done. It was pretty easy, and they still new. They invited me into their house. I had a great time, talked to everyone, but I smiled with them, took some pictures. Even when I went to South, people can still figure out what you want if you need something. People are very accommodating here.
Yeah. So I think that's the best part even I find about India, because that's only one thing that's, motivating me to not leave India, is that people are so emotion driven here. Like, if you want to express, there are like so many languages. We also don't know a lot of language.
Too many.
Too many. Even we as Indians don't know that. So when we go to South, then we go to North, Northeast, there are, from like region to region, the language also changes, the culture changes. But a lot of times, even when you don't know the language, when you try to explain yourself, not by the language, there's no language barrier. They try to understand you from your facial expression, by your emotion. So that's a very beautiful part about India, because I've had a conversation with a lot of my friends. They say that, when in other countries, you don't speak the language that they speak, they try not to like entertain you. But yes, this happens a lot. But in India, even though you don't speak their language, they are very friendly. They try to understand what you're trying to speak. So that's one thing even I love about India.
Of course, and there's so many. I was in Rishikesh last week, and even there, the language changes quickly. I think you can get by with Hindi and English, but then I was walking down the street and I'm hearing another language being spoken. I think it was in Garhwali. That's another thing. It's just there's slightly, I can pick out a little bit of what they're saying, but it's not quite there. But if they were to ask me for something, I think I could figure it out with some time.
Okay, and you were here for your summer internship as well. So you told me that you were here as for your father's factory, and you were working there.
No, it wasn't my father's factory. It was a
Friends.
it was a family friend's factory. They were making induction hardening equipment in Chembur. So I did my internship there. That was probably the quickest I learned Hindi in my life. So before that, I didn't speak much, and that really kickstarted me coming to India and dealing with people here locally by myself.
Okay. So I remember during a previous conversation, you told me that Kartik Research inspires you. I remember for the last 1 hour, you've been gushing about how Kartik Research is that one brand that actually caught your attention. So what is that one thing that you love the most about that brand and the design and the home?
I think the brand is proud of their heritage and they're not afraid to show it. And that's not something that I see from a lot of Indian brands to the same extent. I think that one just was quite striking in the way he presented it, and he's very proud about what he does, and I admire that. Huge respect to what he's doing.
That's lovely. And I think there are like so many Indian brands and Indian textile brands as well, as you are so passionate about the textile brands, that um I can't count them on my fingers. Like, there are so many vibrant patterns, there are so many designs.
Oh, there's heaps, there's thousands. You've got thousands and thousands of years of practice and affection. There's no quantity you can put on that. There's how many people are here? There's 5 billion now? There's a lot of people around that much. And not everyone can wear the same clothes.
Sure. And that's the best part. I feel like that, Indian textile has a very rich legacy, which is like woven from generations to generation. Like, there are so many values. I feel like every single brand that is Indian has a lot of value, a lot of culture attached to their brand. So that's what makes it so unique. Because for a situation or for a country like India, culture plays a major role, because it helps you to make their familiarity. If someone is going there and someone is like, oh, this is from my region, so there's the brotherhood, the sisterhood. So those are some things which is like very common in Mumbai, because Mumbai is like a metropolitan city. So like people from different region, different culture live here in harmony, and that's just so beautiful to see. Because although they are speaking different languages, they are wearing different garments, they have different cultures, they have different lifestyle, but all of them live in harmony.
Well, clothes give you a pathway to connect with your heritage, and you can tell a lot about how a person feels by what they wear. So if they're very proud of who they are, they will wear things that reflect that.
Right. And one more thing about Indian textile is that they're just so full of colors, they're so vibrant, and on top of it, so full of history. And the best part is that they actually show how talented our Indian craftsmen are. So I feel like it also shows how talented Indian craftsmen are, because nowadays, most of the brands that's coming up are trying to show how a fabric is made. They're trying to show the process. Instead of only showing the output, they're trying to show the whole process in a form of telling a story about the brand. Because when you tell people about story, how you build a brand, how what was the input, what was the process, and what is the output, people try to resonate more with the brand. So that's one thing that's happening a lot in India these days.
A very close friend of mine actually made a very big point about brands to me. He said he lives in Bangalore, but he was saying that the brands here, people are trending towards more brands. People are choosing more brands, and I'm I'm just starting to. What's becoming more interesting to me is asking why. Why is that the case? But I think it's people wanting a more premium solution in moving forward. There's a lot more money in this country. Every time I come, I see there's a huge leap in what I see. There's a huge change, even within 6 months, 1 year, a few years. But when I look back over 10 years, there's a huge, massive difference between what I saw when I was 16 coming here and now what I see at 26.
That's a beautiful thought to put forward. So, is there any fabric that you love the most? Is it polyester or linen or cloth, cotton?
I like natural.
Yes.
So, like cotton, linen, hemp. I think it's for me personally, I like the feeling, and I don't know. I've worn some synthetics in the past, but it doesn't agree with me. Like I don't like the feeling of synthetics on my skin. It's I just don't like the feel. But it's for me, it's all about the feel. I think the naturals is something that my body feels very very good with.
Right. Because if you wear polyester, it's for a climate like of Mumbai. It's so humid, it's so hot. So it's not very comfortable and you can't wear for your long hours. But if you're wearing something in linen or in cotton, so it's much more absorbent and it's much more comfortable to carry for hours and hours.
Yes, and if it breathes very well.
It's very big of the scope. So, since you were talking about the Indian textiles, do you feel that the Indian textile company deserve more attention worldwide? Like what values they carry, what work they carry forward?
When you say Indian textile company, are you talking about brands or are you talking?
No, I'm just talking about the companies which have local artisans under them. So, it's a group of artisans who work under a brand's name. So, they get their daily wages. So, they are like representing an area or a state. So, something like that. Not the proper mass manufacturing brands, but brands which are like mostly hand woven or like hand embroidery work, something like that.
So when I travel Australia in regional, I've been all over Australia, all over the East Coast and even the center. And from what I've heard from people and the general questions that people ask me is that people do have a high perspective of Indian craftsmanship. People always talk about the handmade items coming from India. People are chasing that. So for me, my perspective is that I think people value the craftsmanship more than just the brand name. People very much value the people behind what is being made.
That's very true. So, I think the craftsmanship is something that makes them so special and apart from so many brands globally. But is there anything else other than the craftsmanship that you feel can be represented in a better way by Indian brands rather than any other brand across the globe?
I think you can, I think the clothes can definitely show the lifestyle. The lifestyle in India. If you look at, I mean, I keep coming back to it, but the Kartik Research has got some good examples in there. So his silhouettes that he's chosen I remember seeing those first on Instagram, bit on YouTube when it first came on my feed, and then it came to India that time after, and I started looking outside through the window at what people are wearing, and it got me thinking. Most people, from what I've seen, wear quite westernized clothes, collared shirt for men, trousers. I mean, I'm just looking through the male lens at the moment, because it's men's fashion. So from what I've seen, it's very much the same. It's very European centered type clothing, collared shirt, trousers. But what he's got is an Indian take on those type of clothes.
Right.
I think before mass industrialization, there was very Indian centric clothing options available in the subcontinent. And from what I've seen from art, pictures from the past, the Indian style has got its own unique cuts, and he's adding those cuts into what seems to me his own style.
What is that one thing about Indian brands that helps them to stand out as compared to other brands globally?
On Indian brands on a global stage. So look, what I want to do in this country, medium to long term, is approach manufacturing, design, branding with a Western perspective. That's not something that I see a lot. And I think that's something I can do here. That's what I want to do with this brand.
So, since we are talking a lot about the Indian textile, Indian clothing industry, so let's talk about that one word that is talked about quite a lot from use, that's sustainability. So, a lot of clothing brands specifically are going for sustainable alternatives, and they're trying to make conscious choice when they're, choosing the material, choosing the product. So, what is your take on sustainability when it comes to clothing?
I think sustainability is how do I say this in a kind way?
You can say it in any way, not an issue.
I think sustainability is a big marketing and branding label. I think I don't think there's any accreditation for sustainability. Any company can write sustainable on there, and for me, what matters more is what actions you take. What is your thought process behind your design, your garment selection, your fabric selection, who's in your team, where you're setting up, how you minimizing small things like transportation. Obviously, that has an expense on fuel and some gas coming out of the car. I don't think it's massive, but the sustainable aspect of clothes is very interesting to me. So when it comes to fibers, I think fibers is a great place to start from. There's a lot of talk about sustainable polyester. I don't believe polyester is a sustainable material at all. It's oil based. It takes 200 years to biodegrade. But I think natural fibers is the most sustainable option available. If you throw out a shirt made of cotton, linen, hemp, whatever, that's made naturally, eventually it's going to decompose. It might take 6 weeks, it might take 6 months, a year, but it will disintegrate at some stage. A shirt that's made out of polyester, that's going to take a very long time. Might take 200 years. So that's my take on sustainability. When your garment's thrown away, what's going to happen to it? Is it going to eventually break down, or is it going to stick around for your grandchildren to see?
Right. So I think what you said was kind of an open seater, because I think a lot of people might somewhere know about it, but they won't speak about it with a glory bold or beat to actually speak about it. And in some way, even I feel that, a lot of company who try to market their products by saying that they are sustainable or conscious or safe for the planet, because, there are certain percentage of any company or any brand that is allotted to the CSR. That's the corporate social responsibility. So they have to get indulged in some or the other social responsibilities. So it's kind of process which is kind of commercialized, but really interesting word. So thank you so much for.
There's a huge commercialization around that whole sustainability thing. Just adding to what you were saying, I think there's a company in Australia, they're recycling textiles. So that you pay them to take away your garbage, wet textile waste. They reprocess it into, I think it's a weed mat for farming, or it's something to kill the weeds, or it's something like that. But they're taking it for linen, cotton, polyester. But the linen, cotton, I can understand, it will disintegrate. But you're putting polyester back into the environment. I think that's not right. It's going to sit there for a long time. It would disintegrate, and you've got microplastics that leach into animals like frogs and rabbits, you name it. But I don't know. I have a big thing with polyester. I don't like polyester. It's my enemy.
So is being sustainable important for your brand? Like, will it ever be a big thing for your brand? Will that be one aspect that you will be focusing on?
Of course, I think it has to be sustainable, especially in India. I think there's a big movement in India to clean up the country, and anything involved with sustainability it depends how you take it. As I mentioned earlier, your perspective on sustainability, there's certain brands that will donate a certain amount to clean up, there's certain brands that will do something for sustainability. It's not one thing. That's what I have noticed. So we are working on having a plan for sustainability, but it's got to be something that our team is aligned with. And we're in talks with it, but it will take some time to make a plan for that.
Okay. And what I love the most about you was while we were having a conversation, you told me whenever you feel stuck, while on the process of building a brand, whenever you feel stuck, you take inspiration from small designers and from the ideas they have. So is it their craftsmanship, culture, or simply choice of fraction that inspires you?
I think it's the way they think.
Okay.
That's, you can tell if you look at what they do and what they're outputting from each stage. I think it's a reflection of where they're looking. It's not just a business. For some designers, it's not just a passion, it's something else. So I think looking at what people are outputting is very, very grounding in terms of, okay, they've outputted this, but that's involved with their brand image. That's what they're going for. Even talking to other designers out there, it gives me a new perspective, and I like to see how different people think.
Interesting perspective. And do you think these things are important for any brand to become successful?
Seeing how different people think.
Yes. Thinking about what people think, which is a major thing, because a lot of people, a lot of brands, or a lot of people who are involved in those brands don't really think about people. Or they think about profits, they think about mass production.
When I mention like how people think, I'm thinking about the thought process. So someone's thought process to get a specific outcome. Why did he take this approach? Why did she approach things this way? That's my perspective on this situation. But for other brands out there, I'm not sure. It really depends on your brand and where you want to take it and what kind of person you are. For me, this is what's been working for me. Talking to people, finding out what the information is, learning. I love to learn from other people. It could be you, it could be someone else. They might not even be in fashion. They might not even be in the same industry. But the way someone will approach a problem, I like to ask. I like to ask questions and see what they're doing and how they're doing it. It's eye-opening.
You have a curious mind for a lot of things that's happening around, and that's a really nice thing, because even I feel like that I'm kind of a person, if something is happening and I don't know what's happening, I would want to go there and ask and know what's happening, so that if there's something new, if there's a scope of learning, I can learn that.
Well, you're in the best country to ask. There's so many people to ask.
True. Yeah, that's a blessing. So I remember one of the best thing I heard was when you said that when you will be launching your brand, which will be very soon. So you will be making it very comfortable as well as trendy, not very tacky, but something which is something which you can wear whenever you want, like which is for long hours. So, what is the future of your brand? Like, do you have any vision for your brand, or you have any motive or any mission that I want my brand to deal with such problems, or I want my brand to turn into this? So do you have something in mind like that?
Yes. I want to provide a more formal option for a very casual, leisurely scene that I see in Australia. We're meeting friends, going to the beach, going to the boat, out to a restaurant. Something that it looks good, but it's casual and comfortable. And a day like today, it's 35 degrees. There's only a few things you can wear that's comfortable and looks good. So I want it to be good for summer where they can go out and enjoy the summer and look good as well.
Okay. So I think we had enough of conversation about the brand and about your perspective on the industry and everything boring. So let's talk about you. So I would want to know, out of curiosity, what are the best things that you have learned in Hindi? I would want you to say that.
Oh, the best things
Yes.
were the best phrases or the
Phrases would be excellent.
So this guy from Delhi taught me with this one phrase the other day. He says to me, like, if anyone tries to scam you, you say to them, I think it was bhai, what was it? He said, "Maine bahut baar chuka." Okay. I wouldn't say the word, but can I swear on here? Anything. He said, "Chutiya mat bana, maine bahut baar chuka." So that's what he taught me, and I was like, "Wow, I'm gonna use that. That's powerful."
Have you used it?
Yeah, I've used it.
What was the reaction?
Well, I talked to him first in English, and then he thought he could scam me. He's like, oh, "Okay, I've got this guy's money easy," and then I said that, and then he's like, he didn't know what to do.
Anything else?
Well, that's my favorite phrase that I've learned recently, but there's a lot. But I'm always learning. There's always a new thing to learn, and since I don't live here, I'm always learning a new one each time. So I think there's always more to learn.
That's lovely. It was great having a conversation with you. So, there's one last thing we do with all of our guests to summarize their whole experience with us. So, what is that one word that comes in your mind when you talk about our podcast at Smaash Podcast? So, what's that one word about the experience you had with us?
Well, on the set today,
Yes.
I had fun.
Okay.
And this is so fun. Like, it was just chill, and I felt like, I felt like I wasn't alone the whole time. I was with friends, but we only met, what, an hour or two ago? And then,
That's really kind of you.
so yeah, it's just been fun.
Thank you so much. It was great having you on our set, on our podcast, and in India. Honestly, the amount of inspiration you took for Indian culture made us realize that what sort of privilege we have that we're living in such a beautiful country. And I'm proud to be an Indian. Well, you're also an Indian somewhere, but obviously. So I think one of the major takeaway I got was I was so impressed by how elaboratively you were talking about the culture, the people here, the language. We have all these things written up on the scriptures and books, but we don't usually talk about it because I don't remember while I'm talking to my friend or while I'm having a conversation. I generally talk about how privileged we are for the culture, for the accepting nature of people we have around us. So while you were talking, it made me realize that I should be more appreciative. I should be more thankful for everything that I have had in this country. And thank you so much for your insights. It was great having you.
Well, thank you for having me. And just a comment on that, like, I've always been into the Indian books here. Every time I come, I pick up a new book, and there's just a lot more variety here. It's a one country with over 1 billion people, billion with a B. They can't imagine that in number of people. So
What was the last book you read?
I bought one at Bangalore airport.
Oh.
It was no, it was, I think it was Bangalore airport. It was one airport in South. It was this book called The Upanishads. So I think it's an old Hindu text from a long time ago, but I just saw it, I just picked it up, and this is interesting. So, but thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Pleasure was all mine. And thank you for each and everyone who saw this podcast till the end. If you like the podcast, please like, share, and comment. And we will see you in the next episode. Bye bye.